Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, what I love about recording this show is it feels like every day is a school day because I get to learn about yet another industry where technology is making a huge impact. And today is another fine example of that, because I've recently discovered a new machine learning platform from Harvard grads, which is shaking up the world of investing, because it's the first completely transparent and accountable prediction tool for thousands of stocks. Market Sensei from Expat Inc. uses patented machine learning algorithms to give powerful prediction abilities to both experienced traders and also novice investors. And these algorithms create a predicted low, high, opening and closing price for thousands of stocks. And most importantly, every stock's prediction data also includes a graphical representation of Market Sensei's prediction accuracy for the stock within the past 9 days. So curiosity got the best of me and I was intrigued and needed to find out more about this. So I invited them on the show today and thankfully they said yes. So you know what happens next. I'm going to ask to beam your ears all the way back to the US so we can speak with Patrick from Expat, who's going to tell us all about Market Sensei. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
I'm Patrick Kweti. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Expat Inc. And we basically do machine learning powered analytics for finance and other industries. Right now, our main focus is a financial platform, Market Sensei. And we're basically giving people the first truly transparent daily stock analysis platform with likely open, high, low, and close price predictions, as well as dynamically generated accuracy rates for each of our metrics.
Now, after I recently read how a new machine learning platform from Harvard grads is shaking up investing as the first completely transparent and accountable prediction tool for thousands of stocks, it really got my attention. But for anyone listening now, they're probably hearing about Expat for the very first time, and indeed Market Sensei. Just for anyone listening that are hearing about you for the first time, can you explain what Expat is, what problems it solves, and also why it stands out from the crowd?
Expat Inc. started a while back. Our initial focus wasn't on finance, but it was really on finding ways to use artificial intelligence to solve some of the toughest problems and allow people to use, everyday people, to use these solutions on a daily basis. So it started really, so 2012, this was before all the hype about AI or machine learning and all the buzzwords. And it really started from a biomedical research project, which I was working on with a graph theory expert. And we're trying to figure out basically the best way to treat HIV patients given the viral sequences and also the DNA sequences. So I came up with a novel case-based machine learning algorithm to do that. We built out the platform, which actually worked really well. And we got the patent granted for that. And that patent just blocked an IBM predictive analytics patent application. So that was kind of our first foray into AI or into really startups.
Yeah. And
we learned a lot from that. So the challenges in getting a point of care solution used, and we really wanted it to be used like all across the board, not just in a few hospitals. And from that, it didn't quite take off, but we still had the intellectual property. We still had these great AI algorithms, and a lot of our team members were already trading. So we really thought, what if we could apply this great AI to stock analysis? Right? The difference with the financial industries versus healthcare is if you decide to be an individual investor, trade stocks, you can get our app, our platform, try it out. And if it works for you, you can decide to stay on board, keep paying for it, and we can actually grow. And that's why we've been actually able to grow the finance platform way faster without having to deal with many hurdles. So that's kind of the origin story. And since then, we've developed more AI technology specific to finance as well as to comprehension and other sectors as well. So our real differentiator is that unlike most AI startups or companies which have really been either one research focused, we've actually figured out how to make the AI that we have available in a meaningful way directly to people and have them use them on a daily basis, which I don't think many other AI companies have been able to do yet. And secondly, our main goal is not to like replace people or like even in finance, we're not trying to replace financial advisors, but we're really trying to provide a platform that people can use to augment their own abilities. Garry Kasparov has mentioned this as well in terms of chess. So like Deep Blue beat him 20 years ago, but he always mentions that right now the best chess player would not be 100% AI or 100% human, but basically a great human player who understands how to use the current AI chess algorithms working in unison. So what we're doing in finance is basically telling people we have really great AI you can use to help your stock picking or stock trading, but you also have intuition that even the AI researchers at the industry is failing to replicate right now. So once you put those two together, you really have the most powerful weapon in doing your trading activity.
And I love how you've put those things together there. Because like you say, under Expat, you've created Market Sensei. And my understanding is it uses patented machine learning algorithms to give those powerful prediction abilities to both experienced traders, but also novice investors, which is pretty cool too. But can you offer any use cases or examples to allow anyone listening to visualize exactly how Market Sensei works and how to get the most out of it?
Sure. So we have our mobile apps on iOS and Android as well as the web platform. So we've kept it really simple. So we don't give you lists of stocks to trade, right? Because even at West2, we're not too large yet, but we already have like thousands of investors using this. So if we're to send you like a stock list and you receive it along with thousands of other investors, that wouldn't give you that much of a competitive advantage when markets open. But on our app, you can basically search any stock you're interested in, and then you see the likely open, high, low, close price for the next day, as well as probability of bullishness, as well as trend graphs of the likely case for the next 7 days, best case and worst case. And you can also see how it compares to other stocks you're interested in on your portfolio. But that way, it really serves one, if you're a day trader, it's just great for you because you can day trade and make a ton of money with this. If you invest more of the longer term, which I think a lot of people do just because if this is not your full-time job investing, you don't have that much time to spend all day like looking at the stock market, then this is really great for you to pick the best time to buy into a stock that you are interested in or sell it. So in addition to the predictions, we also sometimes give a recommended buy and sell price if the predictions are really good for that stock. So this has happened for me before because we've linked this into notifications. So if the stock you're interested in dips below the buy price, you get a notification about buying it. And I've done this, I've bought. And then if during the day it dips below the recommended sell price, you get another notification. So basically, we've just made it simple for you to make money, right?
So you were looking into hospitals originally with Expat, and then you decided to pivot into the world of the stock market there. So I've got to ask, what was the actual inspiration behind Market Sensei, and how did you get that idea into a reality? I mean, have you always been interested in the stock market?
I developed the interest, I think, sophomore, junior year, right about the time I was starting Expat, because a good friend of mine who initially invested was running a small hedge fund of sorts with his brother. And so when he invested, really because they're already doing this, he was telling more and more about the stock market, and I started trading. And it was just like my life changed completely. Because, once you're trading, then 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on weekdays is a really exciting time, right? Right. If you didn't have a good reason to wake up early before, like now you do. And the great thing with the stock market is just like other AI companies could make claims about the AI, with the stock market, even analysts who make claims, it's verifiable, right? So if someone says that Microsoft stock is going to go hit this price, right, we have a way of seeing whether or not it hits this price, right? And so that was the draw in saying, hey, we have great AI. We don't really have ways to like run a large scale study of what it can do with hospitals because we weren't at that size yet. But if we apply it to the stock market and give people a 14-day free trial, then they can use it over 2 weeks and they're going to see just how good it is. And in terms of what made that into like a reality was I was working on building a project for Dark Sky, which is the number one weather forecasting app on iOS. It does hyperlocal weather forecasts. And it's kind of the same idea of daily forecast, but the weather, right, which is something that everyone believes we can pretty accurately forecast, right? But when I was there, one of the colleagues in the same workspace was a data scientist, and he was also really interested in trading. And so we always just had like this idea of like, what if we could have daily forecasts, right, for like our own trading? So because we both had kind of the experience, my background is in building mobile apps. I quickly made a mobile app for this and built the initial algorithm. And I put it on the App Store, not thinking it would grow into this. But my initial thought was, I'm trading, I'll put it on the App Store for like $4. Maybe if a couple of people buy it, and I'll be like subsidizing my trading activity. But it really took off from the first month. So from the first month, I think we had like, in the first month, like 400 people buy it at $4. And then when I released the website, people are already subscribing from day one. But what made me really focus on it was I did this because I had the experience in algorithms or even building mobile apps, but not everyone has that experience. But everyone still would love to have an algorithm which they know how it works so that they actually know when to follow it and when not to, right? And once that was out there and we're posting on some of the other stock social media platforms, we got, I think, 1,000 followers within the first week. But as I was looking at some of the other financial platforms, I realized that transparency was not even really a thing, right? Which is pretty dangerous in an industry where people are investing their money for various reasons, whether it is because they just want to buy a Porsche or send their kids to college, right? I think accountability and transparency is something that's been lacking on financial platforms for a long time. And that's when we really decided that, hey, initially we were focused on doing this for healthcare because it's pretty obvious that you could save a ton of lives, but financial inclusion and financial growth is something very important for everyone as well.
So how has it helped you? I know you said there that originally when you set it up, you were hoping to finance your own trading activities. How is that working out for you using the program?
Yeah, so that's always one of the top questions. So we're at TechCrunch Disrupt New York, and they would always ask, like, why don't you just use it yourself to trade? Yeah. And I was always happy to just pull up my Robinhood account and show them that, hey, I'm up like 17% over the last month or two, right? Because that's really the differentiator with us, because we want people to ask those questions and to ask about why is this better, right? Like prove that it's better or things like that.
So has your vision for Market Sensei changed at all since you first started out, or is it mostly the same?
I think it's been mostly the same. However, as the platform grows and we get, one of the great things is that we get emails from really brilliant people. Like some of these people really, they impress me. I think from the first month, from the first couple of weeks, we got an email from a trader in Germany, and he just emailed saying, thanks for the platform. I've been checking it, double checking the prediction. So this was before we released the feature for accuracy rate, but he was actually tracking the accuracy rates himself, and it was working really well. And I've also spoken to another user from Singapore who runs a value investing group, and just getting all this feedback and talking to the users as to how it's been helpful and some things that are lacking. Away from just building a transparent prediction platform, our goal has really evolved to making a trustworthy platform for investors, right? And so not just for individual investors, but even investors in the startup industry, right? So in the startup industry, right, there's qualitative ways of trying to see if a startup is great, right? Yeah. But there really hasn't been like quantitative metrics, right? So a lot of like someone who achieves financial success from, let's say, another traditional industry, whether it's textiles, we'll see that, hey, tech startups is something you can make a huge return on your investment, right? But for them to go into startup investing, they really don't have the experience as, say, a large firm in Silicon Valley, right? But they still need to get some of that guidance. So that's more about building a platform which can provide analytics for investors, not just for the stock market. So similarly, we've seen that some of our analysis for stocks or the S&P 500 correlates to business revenue. So a business in a particular sector may not know why its revenue fluctuates a certain way from quarter to quarter, right? But we actually tested this with a pretty large company, and we saw that they didn't really know why one month they were closing $3 million worth of deals. The other month they were not closing any deals, and we're able to overlay basically our revenue with the S&P 500 and show them that, hey, anytime the S&P 500 takes a huge dip, your BD team has trouble closing deals, right? Yeah. So they're actually macroeconomic or whatever factors that could be playing a role. So to help businesses be able to forecast that makes them able to run way better businesses, which is great in terms of figuring out when to hire more people, when not to, right? And just figuring out how to run the operations better. So those are some of the things that we're looking to grow our platform into. But it's really centered on, one, having quality analytics and providing them in a transparent way that, again, just augments people's abilities and doesn't necessarily try to replace a particular person.
So a stock market prediction platform that features patented machine learning algorithms that also give powerful prediction abilities was previously unavailable to both novice investors and experienced traders. But now it's here. I mean, how much of a game changer do you think it is now?
I think it's a huge game changer. So we just won a fintech competition in New York a couple of weeks ago. It was hosted by IB Hub and the Wall Street Fintech Club. Just the fact that, one, we're even invited to present there, and we were in the top three and the number one investing up there is huge, because we're based in Boston, right? New York Wall Street is just a couple of hours away, but just from the start, we wanted to build this platform initially growing with individual investors direct to a consumer, just because we wanted to have a large enough volume of people to improve the platform and get feedback from, but also just have real people try it out until the point where we kind of realized that, hey, the algorithm is great. And we did it without like even trying to get any meeting on Wall Street. And yet we've been able to get a lot of traction, get thousands of investors using it and relying on it. And I think that's something that wasn't possible before. That's something that's not been done before. So what we're really doing is empowering every person, like the everyday investor, to now feel like they have a fair shot in trading on the stock market, right? Because when you trade on the stock market, you're going up against everyone, right? Yeah. Not just your fellow individual investor, but even like the big hedge funds or investment funds, whether it's on Wall Street or in Chicago, who are using high frequency trading algorithms or trying to use their own AI, right? So I think it's a huge game changer, and it's it's really good.
So one other thing I've got to ask there, I mean, when Stock Market Sensei became that #1 stock app, did its immediate success take you by surprise?
It was a bit surprising. So I had put it up as a paid app on the Android App Store, and I think within the first 2 weeks it was at the tops of the paid finance charts. And I had looked at the finance apps in the App Store, and other than say Robinhood and like the brokerage apps, there really was not, and a lot of different startups are trying to do this for personal finance as well. There really was not like a great finance app that people wanted to use every day. It's still kind of the same with healthcare, although when you look at personal fitness, that's a bit different from like personal medicine. So like Fitbit are great apps that people love to use. But in terms of solving like core healthcare challenges and solving core like financial challenges, there's really no app that people are like, I wake up in the morning and I want to use it, right? So we knew that there was that void. And so it was nice and a bit surprising, but we already knew that we were filling a void that really needed to be filled, right? Because I'll just mention again, Dark Sky for the Weather. That's an app that it was surprised. They have kind of like a Tesla-like following for the users that actually use it, right? Because this app can tell you like it's gonna rain in 7 minutes, right? And it can save you from getting wet. You pick up an umbrella, and within 6-7 minutes, it actually starts raining, right? Yeah. Like magic. So we knew that if we could do that for finance and stocks, whether we're not just gonna keep you from getting wet, you're actually gonna make money. It would be incredible.
So do you ever see yourselves adding the volatile world of cryptocurrencies and their exchange rates and making it easier for guys like me to get a Lambo? Or is there anything else that you could share with us today about your future plans?
Yeah, so I think increase in the past couple of weeks, we've had people like message us telling us they're moving away from equities to like cryptocurrencies. Yeah. And so that's definitely something we're going to include. And it's really important for everyone to be able to get a Lambo. So.
I couldn't agree with you more. So before I let you go, can you remind the listeners of your web details, where they can download the app and social media channels as well, and also the best way for anyone listening to contact your team if they've got any questions about anything we've spoken about today, including how to get a Lambo?
Yeah, so our website is stockmarketsensei.net. You can find our apps on the Android, Google Play Store, or Apple Store. Just search Market Sensei, and it should be the top result. In terms of getting in touch with our team, like we look at every single incoming email and respond to them, like tell a person. We're not using AI for that yet. So just email info@stockmarketsensei.net.
Well, a huge thank you for coming on the show today. I love your story, and I love how you were doing one thing in an area of hospitals, using that similar technology, and then pivoting another direction and having this huge hit on your hand. I think it's a fantastic story and a great lesson to anyone that's on their own startup journey out there to not be afraid to change direction slightly. So a big thank you for coming on today.
Thanks a lot for having me.
If Market Sensei really can give a stock's most likely low, high, opening and closing prices daily, I think it could be a really big game changer, especially if Market Sensei can answer those most important investment and trading questions, such as what is the best price to buy a stock, or what is the best time to sell the stock, and what is the most reasonable return to expect. If it can do all of those things, maybe it could put the odds back in your favour. But would you be comfortable in making your investment and trading decisions using software and machine learning? As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation, and indeed anything that pops into your head while I ramble into your earballs. Are there any industries you'd like me to explore, or do you have any other questions for me? Let me know and we will read them out on tomorrow's episode, or indeed one of the shows next week. But I don't want to be the guy that overstays his welcome at a party. You know the type, those that don't take the hint when it's time to go home. So I will return tomorrow with another guest. And until next time, Don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.